Giedo, thanks for joining us, and a great race for you in Abu Dhabi. I know that everybody's saying Formula One's boring at the moment, Sebastian's winning everything, but if they'd watched that race of yours, I think everybody would have got pretty excited about what was going on there. From your point of view, it must be very satisfying.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, on the start was a little moment with Kimi. He touched me. I nearly spun, so I was lucky to catch it. And after that, I think we showed a very good race, a very good weekend. Even though I was out of FP1, I think the progress during the weekend, the pace we showed, I think was very, very promising.
Well, that touch with Kimi was enough to break his track rod, but your car was unaffected by that?
I haven't heard nothing about it yet, but it seemed to be fine because the pace was very good in the race, and I had no issue with it. So I think it was a little luck, but we needed that, especially after the two races we had before, where we had also contact in turn one, and it was ended very quickly. So I was happy I could finish the race, and even though with this result.
Well, I just wanted, before we get on to Abu Dhabi in detail, I just wanted to ask you about that shunt in India with Max Chilton at the first lap. We got a picture of you on the grass with the wing off the car, etc. But the interesting thing is your hands off the steering wheel. I don't know whether you're actually gesticulating at Mr. Chilton or what, really? Waving to the marshals, maybe?
I don't know. I don't know what I was doing there. I think I was trying. I was maybe angry, or I have no idea. But I was very disappointed about that because Chilton didn't give any room there, and I was just in the middle of the two and had no space to go, and it broke my suspension, so it was a pity. And after that, I went to Charlie in Abu Dhabi. I spoke to him, and on the end, he said, "Well, I think Chilton made an error there, and you couldn't do nothing about it." So that was good. I'm happy with that comment from him. But you have to try to forget as soon as possible and get on with the next one and do your job as good as possible. I think we showed it last weekend.
Which you did, yes. We have Rob Wilson in the studio with us, Giedo, a gentleman I think you know quite well.
Yeah, I know him. I did a couple of days with Rob, and great guy. I like him.
Hello, Giedo. Very, very good to see this stuff going on, and so many comments about you. You're coming of age here, and just everyone has been impressed, and you've clearly been the fastest driver in the team, which is great news.
Now, Giedo, we've been having a bit of fun going through all the radio transmissions from all the teams in the show, and I've got a couple that went out to you. I'm sure we didn't hear them all on TV, but one of them said, okay, Giedo, we need to improve at turns 2 and 3 and a bit at the last part of the last sector. Rob was particularly impressed to see that, and we want to know exactly what you did after that.
Yeah, what happened, Giedo? What was that?
Well, I think, the team was actually, especially the third or the second stint, I made quite a big gap to my teammate. It was around 15, 16 seconds. And I was in the middle of nowhere. And on that stage, sometimes it's good to have a little communication with the team that you get motivated. And then I was doing actually more or less the same lap times as my teammate. And then they told me, look, turn 2 and turn 3. And there was another one. You lose a little bit of that time, try to push it a bit more. And the next lap I was straight away 4, 5 tenths quicker. So it's good to have sometimes when you're in the middle of the nowhere that you have a bit of motivation. You need it.
Well, we had that very interesting interchange on the radio where you were basically saying that Charles was holding you up, and when they asked Charles to let you pass, he said, "Why do I have to do that?" And they came out. It was pretty blatant. They just said, "Guido's faster than you. Guido's faster than you. If he doesn't pull away, we will swap back. So let Giedo pass at turn 8." Did you know that you were going to have to do that if he didn't pull away?
No, at the time I didn't know. But once I passed him, for me it was clear I was a much quicker car, and I pulled away quite a big gap. And for me, I think it was no issue. The only thing what I heard from my engineer is try to pull a gap and go quick, which I did. And after that, we spoke about it in the debrief. But I think I had the upper hand during all the weekend. And I think this happened to me as well in the beginning of the year, where I was in front of him and he was a quicker car. We had to swap as well because it was sometimes very hard when you have the same cars to pass each other, and even though with DRS.
What was the characteristic from your point of view of the Pirellis in Abu Dhabi relative to India?
More or less the same. I mean, India, I think the soft had a little issue there with some blistering, but other than that, the soft was performing reasonably well there, especially in qualifying. I have to say that, of course, the track is very demanding on the tires because there's a lot of high speed. And then, of course, Abu Dhabi, we had the same compounds, and both tires performed quite well. And it's a little bit different track. It's more stop and go, and especially the last sector is quite technical, and it's demanding quite a lot about the tires because there's no stop. And you saw that on the beginning, even though we had the soft on, you saw that the tires were going off quite quickly, even after 7-8 laps, and then everybody pitted. And before we thought we could make one stop, but after 7-8 laps it was impossible.
Yeah, it was interesting that the Force India was able to do that. The only team able to do that. Jenson Button almost did it, and I suppose that points. Would I be correct in saying that it was a day when potentially it was going to be difficult to get tyre temperature if you had a car that hasn't been using the tyres particularly hard?
Yes,
and yet a team like Sauber, which has obviously been getting the best recently, had no grip at all on Sunday.
It is very hard. I mean, of course, when you have a very, very good car with little downforce, it's easy to generate tire temperature, and especially for us, sometimes it was very, very hard. You saw this with me in qualifying when Di Resta was going so slow in the slowdown lap, and he was in front, but I couldn't let him pass because he was blocking me all the time. And then the temperature dropped a lot, and on turn one you brake and you straight away lock the front wheel tires. And I think it's very, very important to have heat in the tires and to work them hard. And but also I think when you don't have a lot of downforce and you slide a lot, that you destroy the tires even more.
Do you have sensors on the car where you know where you are plus or minus degrees on tire temperature?
Yeah, we have this. I think one driver is more keen of knowing this than others. I have quite a good feeling about the tires, where they are when they start to come in, when they start to drop off. I think my teammates are working a lot about the temperatures. He wants to know every time where the temperatures are, how far is the front, how far is the rear. So I think it's a different philosophy about the drivers and how they work.
Well, it's not just even a philosophy; it's an ability, isn't it, Giedo? Because you're going to feel it as you touch the brakes. The car doesn't slow down quite as well, or you turn the wheel and you don't get quite that response, and you already know that you're going to need to put more steering on. You already get that feeling back, and you get that much more from your inputs and what you feel through your body than you will from a number, won't you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I don't really need to know the temperatures and how far they are and what you need to do, because sometimes the tires, they're dropping off a little bit of temperature, and this happens I think every race. And the only thing is work them a bit harder, especially the front tire. You try to brake as late as possible, and then you try to come a bit more earlier off the brakes and carry a bit more speed, and try to turn in a bit more aggressive, try to heat up the front tires, and I think this is helping quite well.
There was a lovely moment for you, lap 28, I think, when you said to the pits that the car feels really good now, just a little bit of oversteer, which was, of course, not what that many other drivers in the race were feeling. But from that point, I guess you had a nice balance on the car, because that's something you would like.
Yes, yeah. I think for me, the balance, especially on the second stint, the car was performing really well. I mean, we were very close to Bottas lap times, to Toro Rosso lap times. So that moment where we had a good car, and I felt good in the car, and it could push all the way. So this is also helping, of course.
Giedo, what are your thoughts on the pit lane joining the circuit in Abu Dhabi? And not just there, we've seen it in other circuits all over the world. We had that incident with Fernando Alonso and Jean-Eric Vergne, where basically there wasn't enough room for two of them. Rob's made the point that Alonso, as the driver joining the race, needs to be the one backing off. But it does seem that quite often now those pit rejoins are at a place where it can be difficult. Yeah,
I think sometimes it is a little difficult, and though in Korea, I did think they did already a good change. To be honest, I think Abu Dhabi is reasonable safe because you have quite a little runoff, but of course it doesn't help when there's a big bump, and I think they will change this also for next year. The bump, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's harder and sometimes it's easier, but yeah, you cannot change about it, and I think Charlie and the FIA is trying their best to optimize everything, and so far they've done a good job in that.
You got a pretty good look at Bottas, as you said. What did the Williams look like on the track compared with you?
Like, for sure, they had a quicker car. I mean, they have been developing quite a bit this year, and of course, now you see them going forwards, fighting with the other cars in the midfield. We wish, of course, also that we were there this year, but unfortunately not. But yeah, I think in the beginning we catch Bottas. We were on the soft tires, he was on the medium. I think he didn't get them to work in the first few laps, that's why we could pass him. But once he got the tires to work, he could pass us easily and pulled away quite easy as well.
Mm. Good. Well, Rob, points out of 10 for that race for Giedo van der Garde?
Well, it's got to be 10 out of 10, I think. and no one's blaming him for the Kimi incident, are they? That was Kimi putting his nose where it shouldn't be.
I don't know. Kimi didn't say anything, did he, Guido, afterwards to you?
No.
Well, he wasn't around anyway, was he?
No, he left the track quite soon, and I don't know. I think those things can happen. Luckily, I could continue. Unlucky for him, but yeah, nothing happened.
The bottom line, it was his front axle against your rear axle, so you were obviously plainly ahead.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was a good weekend, and yeah, now of course we're looking forward to Austin. It's going to be an awesome event as well. For me, it's going to be a tough one because we are out of FP1 and we never drove the track there, so it's going to be a hard weekend, but hopefully we get on top as soon as possible and we can deliver good results again like Abu Dhabi.
Rob, how long would it take a driver of Guido's quality to learn a circuit like Austin?
He'll know where he is within 4 or 5 laps, and you've done simulator things. There'll be little things that you'll pick up after you've stopped in the pits for a while, but you know, he's going to know it within 5 laps, but he'll get his best lap, 20 laps later because you just learn nuances. Well. Yeah.
The other thing, the pressure's on you guys, I suppose, always to go out quite early on Fridays, right, to get the track clean for everybody else. It's a sort of job that the lesser teams have to do by obligation these days. Well, for a long time now. Yeah, sure. But it is like this, and we'll see what we can do. Of course, it's a pity about FP1, but still we have to try to make the most out of it. And what Bob says, hopefully in 4 or 5 laps you know the track well. And of course these days we have good simulator. I will be in the factory next week on Monday to do some sim with the team, and then we will look quite good. Well, we look forward to it, Giedo. Thanks for talking to us, and all the best in those final 2 races, America and Brazil. Another doubleheader coming up. A lot of fun in both of them. Great countries, great circuits. But congratulations again on Abu Dhabi. Good job.
Yep.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, guys, and enjoy the day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.